keep on mentioning is that the barriers that come up against the system. And so an analogy here, thinking of the system is a massive, big, ugly, hard wall, which has got the haves on one side and the have-nots on the other side. Those that have got access to land, control over land, power to make policy about agriculture and blah blah on one side. Those that haven't got any access to land whatsoever and have to rent and have to, resort to petty crime and work 80 hours a week to survive and have to eat whatever food's available or whatever on the other side. And then there are things which are eroding those walls, and some of them are systemic change, like let's take the TVPA and protest them. Some of those are asking for systemic change, lobbying politicians individually, week after week after week, whatever. And some of those are finding loopholes. And finding loopholes is really interesting because it's kind of like what Gareth just said, and kind of like what you're doing, Julia, and what everyone's doing. It's like, when you find a loophole, it's like a little hole in the wall. And I don't know, some people sneak through illegally and make this community garden on this land that's supposed to be owned by the government or the public thing, and temporarily it can happen until such time as Housing New Zealand sells it for the state housing. But in the meantime, use the hell out of loopholes and try and find some and try and make some. And in communities where people are like, I don't know where people who own all the land and all the houses are selling them off so that people can't live there anymore, can't rent. I mean, it's really hard. And what ways can there be? What ways can there be to enable, people who don't have access to land to continue to live there? What things can be done so that those landlords can't continue to just, sell it to only rich people and not, not let poor people live in communities and stuff? What kind of loopholes can be? Like, continue to suck up the hell out of loopholes and find more loopholes, because it's kind of cheating. Sometimes cheating is the only way. But when there's enough holes in that wall, when there are enough holes in that wall, one day it will come down. And finding loopholes, finding the holes in the wall and cheating them and using them and lying to the government about them and I don't know, just staying on benefit and whatever you're not supposed to do, like just cheat the hell out of the system and find those loopholes.
All right, last speaker.
Might have answered part of the question. I want to say I share a lot of the passion amongst the panelists in regards to growing food permaculture. We grow most of our fresh food, vegetables, fruit, and chickens. We love our chickens. They do a lot of work for us in the orchard and food and eggs, obviously. But I also share the Dr. Mike Joyce's desperation. I can sense that, and I feel that we are desperate for change. The climate change is urgent. It's the next, I don't know, 10, 15 years. We have to do something. I feel I share the desperation Mike has. And Gary said earlier, quite a long time ago, that companies can't make us take a loan. But I want to know, how can we make industrial farming stop or slow down, stop spreading? How do we actually change the system? Gary was alluding to working at different levels. I would like to hear more about the different levels of actually changing the system, that we can slow down industrial agriculture, that people don't have to work 5, 6 or whatever days, so that they work 3 days a week. Have time to do all these nice things that build communities. That's it.
Yeah. I mean, questions to me, there are lots of things. It'll take another whole meeting to run through something, again. But just the point that we can do things at different levels in this, and we should be trying to act at different levels. I mean, we do. We act at the family level, we act at the community level, we act at a national level. I mean, everybody actually should vote, and everybody did to make a difference, because it's only one little thing you have to do, once every 3 years. And people say, what's the point of voting, because, the whole system is a bit corrupt and foregone conclusions. That it wouldn't be if everybody else who didn't voted, and people died in the street so that you could vote. So I say, okay, don't get all wrapped up if you don't like politics stuff. But That's one thing you do, right? And don't say you've got a choice. You actually look at the policies of all different parties. There's about 15 or 20 parties that stand, right? I'm sure you can find one that you might agree with. Or mostly agree with. Just vote for that one. That's democracy. Vote for what you believe most representative. So at every level you can do something. It's all a matter of time and energy. So you need a little bit of energy at that top political level. That's a wee bit of energy, A bit more often if you submit to a local authority in a submission page, you'd be surprised how much influence you have. Because nobody else does. And you give yourself a name. Like we called ourselves a helix group, and we used to submit to people like applications to council and Hopping and all that. Who the hell's this helix group? It was only 3 people, but they thought that we represented a whole lot of people. So it's a little bit like to say, we can just sort of use a bit of guile sometimes to do it. But so I think we should all sort of try and do something at different levels. I think it's good for us actually to do things at different levels. I think it's not good for us to be totally focused just down in our back garden, And I don't think it's good to be totally focused on a big wide political world and the whole thing. That's probably a bit much. And I think you share the time in terms of your ability to make action. So obviously you can take more action in your own family and friends, and then in the community, in your local authority, whatever it is, and you can't make that much, as one person, but you can do something.
Don't buy the products.
That's right, don't buy some of the products.
System.
And don't encourage them. And so, but there's lots of things people can do. I mean, there's huge things going on under the radar. Our media, I think, are worse than our politicians, and are more corrupt, I think. Because they don't tell us. At least it's their job to tell us, and they don't tell us things over the air, just to and it's their job to do so. But under the radar, if you go on, I'm not a Facebook follower, right, but I do get things through emails, and I do get a lot of things through internet, and I do get things through magazines. I'm still a magazine person. And I'm sure it's true, you can see that all these different groups, they're all different things around the world. Right? And so we're not alone, we just think we're sort of isolated in our little group. But lots of people are doing lots of things under the radar. And as somebody said, that will come together at some point. At some point that energy comes together. And it's timing, a lot of things are timing, it's timing of when things happen. And you see, don't hit yourself against the brick wall if the timing's not right. But keep on doing what you can do. And sometimes you have to be patient, sometimes you have to wait for the time. Sometimes we're a bit impatient about these things. Sometimes we think it's our job to do it, it's not actually. We're just one from whatever it is. Don't take the whole world on your shoulders, But take what you're responsible for. What you can take responsibility for, then do it. Because what I think is a sin, is to not take responsibility, not being guilty about the do it. We need to understand that we're in reciprocity with the people, with nature, with the world around us. So we need to have that responsibility to act in a responsive way. Choose your own one. Choose the ones you can do. Everybody will choose something different, but just choose it. Choose what you can do. It doesn't matter.
I feel like a bit like the Pollyanna on the panel, but I just think it's really important to feel good about what you're doing. I think it's really important. Valuing what you do and making sure that it's fun and you're enjoying it. I think that's a really big part of the change. Is actually feeling really positive about things. It's kind of mindset makes quite a big difference. And I think that mindset attracts other people. If something's fun, people want to be involved with it. And that just grows from there.
When you have hope, it reorientates your spirit, right? It's a big thing.
And you're growing food and you've got chickens, so actually you're doing it. Maybe the next part of that is to help someone else on the basis that when they upskill, they help someone else. I started a garden network like that in Taita where we had nothing. And I helped someone on the basis that she would help someone else in her street. And by the time she finished, you could look down her backyard and every single person had
had a backyard garden, and about 1 in 3 houses had chickens. So one person can, if there's this ripple energy that is attached to putting stake in the ground and your tree in the ground and saying yes. So yeah, get your own little thing going. Share what you have.
I think there's one thing that, you know, the answers will come from everywhere and everyone, right? So when we talk about technology, there's answers there. When we talk about traditional systems, there's answers there. So, you know, it's a combination of everything, but it's the intent.
I think there is another, just in terms of the pizza theory, there has been an online petition asking for a limit to get consents to expand theory in Wellington. So there's, I suppose, the feeling beginnings of a public movement, but it has, there goes
All right, well, thank you all for coming. That's it. If we can have a big round of applause. I don't know how much bread's left, but please take a look.